Hey, welcome to another segment of Missing Links Golf. Last week was great. Chase, I guess we've been getting a lot of requests to do what's in the bag. So Chase did sort of a what's in the bag with his golf clubs. And so he's been after me to do a what's in the bag. And I said, listen, I'll do a what's in the bag. But really for me, if we're going to do a Missing Links Golf channel correctly, I want to do a why's in the bag versus what's in the bag. If I want to fill in some of those missing links in your game, I think it's real important that we talk about that. And I'll tell you why. I have a really very good friend, and he's now a golf pro, also who I started working with when he was maybe a 12 handicap. He was a professional racquetball player, and I was teaching down at the driving range, and a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, came in and said, hey, take a look at this guy. He's really a good golfer, but he needs some help, and see if you want to help him. So I went over and looked at his swing, and literally, this guy was unbelievable. He's hitting a driver, and he was flying the driver maybe around 340, 350. He was going from one side of the driving range on the fly to the other side of our driving range on a fly. And I watched him hit 2-3 golf balls and looked at his swing real closely, and he just sort of looked at me and said, well, what do you think? And I looked at him and I said, wow, you really know how to hit a golf ball. He said, I do. And I said, look, let me ask you a question. How far do you hit your 7-iron? And his first response was, how far do you want me to hit it? No, I said, really, truly, tell me, how far do you hit your 7-iron? He said, I don't know. I said, how far do you hit your 4-iron? He goes, well, I don't know. And I watched him hit a few more golf balls, didn't say anything, and he goes, well, what do you think? And I said, I think you know how to hit a golf ball really, really well, but you don't know anything about how to play golf. And walked away from him, and he kind of got mad. He didn't really want to talk to me, and stewed on it for a couple of days, came back and said, what do you mean? So we went out and played. I got to tell you, I know that I'm getting up there in age, and Chase made fun of me down at Sand Hollow when we played down there, saying that I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't hit as far as I used to be. But literally, Brian was 100 yards ahead of me, plus every drive. I caught one pretty pure on a hole and maybe hit it 310. Best shot I hit in 2 years maybe. And I just kind of giggled at him. So, okay, chase that one. And we paced it off. He was 120 yards in front of me. And we got playing. At the end of the day, we had the score, and I beat him by about 6 strokes. So we started just really talking about it and decided we'd start working together and fill in what his missing links were. And for him, or for me, I said, man, as well as you know how to hit a golf ball, you need to know how far you hit a golf ball on the average. So that's the missing link I want to talk about today. It's not as important maybe as what's in the bag as why it's in the bag. And I'm going to go through both of those today. It's no secret. Every time I've been on video, I'm obviously got Callaway golf clubs, Callaway hats and equipment. In my life, this is my 50th year playing golf, and in my entire life of having golf clubs, I've had hundreds of drivers, hundreds of putters, countless wedges, but in sets of golf clubs, I probably have had 4 main sets my whole life. When I went to college, my dad had a set of golf clubs made for me, a set of irons made at Olimar from California, and they were hand-forged irons, beautiful golf clubs. I still have them today. They're about that big and very small heads, muscle-back clubs, pure, beautiful golf clubs. And I was playing with it after I got done with my college career, and I was going to a tournament, and I got there, my clubs didn't, and a friend of mine who was at the tournament but not playing in it said, here, take my golf clubs, and they happened to be a set of Ping I2s. I went and played a great round of golf with his golf clubs, and from all of the 80s, I played with those Ping I2 golf clubs and literally had a 1-iron through lob wedge. Just loved the golf clubs. And I can remember I was playing in a golf tournament at Edgewood in Lake Tahoe, and it was real slow. Tournament was real packed with people, and as it always happens at that particular golf course, on the 17th hole, it's a par 3, it faces the lake, and a friend of mine had just gotten a brand new set of Big Bertha irons. Really an odd-looking club, if you remember them. It was one of the very first golf clubs. Eli Callaway was just brilliant in this. He had a bore-through shaft. So there was no hosel, the shaft went right through the driver, the shaft went right through their woods, shaft went right through these irons. And I hit 2 golf balls from the tee box, 2 5-irons into the lake. And from that day forward, I played with the Callaway golf club in my bag since then, and that was probably in 93 or 94. And I've been on staff with Callaway now for about 10 years. I love their golf clubs. I haven't always been in love with their woods, but I've had a long love affair with their irons. So I'll explain the why. So I talked about my friend Brian, who I was able to coach and work with. We sat down together. It took us about 2-3 weeks getting an average what he hit every club in his bag. So when he got to the course, he knew within 5 yards how far one of his irons would go. And what that did is that took probably immediately probably reduced his handicap by about 4 strokes, just by knowing what yardage he was hitting every golf ball. He didn't have to try to hit anything harder. He didn't have to try to lay off anything, and he didn't have to guess how far he could fly a ball in the air. It took a little while with him to get his distances, and they were insane. I have to tell you that, how far he was hitting his irons. But he at least knows, and knows to this day, how far each one of his clubs go. Since I've been a golf pro, it just cracks me up. Right now, I know that there's a lot of golfers, they won't even think twice about spending $400 driver. Now, I'm not immune to this, so trust me. I just happen to be lucky to be working with Callaway. Phil Mickelson just put this in his golf bag this year. It's the Razor Fit Tour driver. It's an adjustable driver. I just really got it, put it in my bag, and I've hit it about maybe more than a dozen times, maybe 20 times, and just loved the feel of it. It immediately went into my bag. But I've been sort of fickle with drivers over the last couple of years due to an injury that I'm just recovering from. But I think it's real important that a guy goes in and he won't think twice about spending $300 or $400 on a driver. And yet, this driver he spends $300 or $400 for, if you hit it every opportunity you can during a round of golf, you're probably talking about hitting it 14 times. Now, in our golf course, it's a little bit more of a target course. I probably hit a driver 6 times, maybe 7 times, depending on the wind out here. So, as important as this driver is and as expensive as they are, you got to ask yourself, how important is that club that you're going to hit 6 times? Now, if a golfer hits every single green in regulation and 2 putts, shoots par all the way around, how many times does he hit his putter? He hits it 36 times. Now, putting is hugely important. One of the most important things about the game, and Chase and I are going to do some videos and vlogs on putting, but think about the difference between your putter and your driver. I know guys that will go spend the $400 for the driver and then go to the bargain bin and spend $5 for a putter. 14 times they hit their driver, and about 36 to 39 times they'll hit the putter. So you got to ask yourself, what are the 2 important clubs in your bag? And that's what I did with Brian. Once we started working on his distances so that he knew how far each club went, we were able to go through his bag and discover why he had what he had in his bag. He had several clubs that hit the ball the same distance. They actually had the same trajectories. He had a really high ball flight. As you can imagine, a guy with real good hands would. And we had to go through his bag and readjust off his bag so that we could keep a 10 yards, around a 10 to 8 yard difference between all of his clubs. He was carrying 1 wedge, which is crazy. And so what we did is we immediately went in and we set him up with 4 different wedges so that he knew how far with the full swing he hit each of his wedges. Now, my grandson has great taste, and so he's going to grab my putter, which is, to be honest with you, the most expensive club that I have in my bag. I'll start with my putter. I have a Scotty Cameron I'm lucky enough to have acquired this putter off the tour van. It has a Circle T. A lot of you guys may or may not know what that means, but when Scotty does a putter for church use, they'll put a Circle T on the putter. They'll also put a Circle T with the crown on the face of it. So this putter has all the marks, and I've had it in my bag now for about 2 years. And you got to figure that this putter is probably $1,000 to $1,500 on eBay. You just can't get them. You can't go and order them off the shelf. You got to find them out and see them, and find out how many people you've walked across with a Circle T putter. Do I putt better with it? Probably not. But at least I can be honest and say, well, my driver isn't the most expensive club I have in my bag. My putter truly is. The average tour player, speaking of that, averages putts, just the middle of the road tour player, he has 28 putts average per round. When these guys are winning golf tournaments, you look at their stats, and they're generally putting around 22 to 26 putts per round, and they're going low with great numbers. If a tour player has anywhere in the 30 to 32 range, he's shooting pretty close to par. And that's just how it works out. Just got to ask yourself, without changing how you hold the club, hit the club, swing the club, if your average putts are 36, 37, and you worked hard enough to lower your putt average down to around 32, without changing a single way that you hit a golf ball, you can lower your score by 4 or 5 strokes. And that's what we do with Bryant. Brian figured that, and we worked together knowing that from 100 yards in is the scoring zone. Just like the 20-yard line in football is the red zone, I call that 100-yard in is the red zone for golf. The better that you get from 100 yards in, or able to get up and down from a greenside bucker or chip and a putt, one putt, your score goes down. Think about that. Even the tour players average about 77% on a great day, greens in regulation. So somewhere along the line, they're hitting chips and putts. And those guys generally get up and down a very high percentage of the time, where we look at ourselves, we might not have that high percentage. So I just really looked at why is in the bag as important as my distances. I think it's important to carry a driver. If you're having trouble hitting it, you got to ask yourself a couple of things. Do I have the right driver, the right shaft? Is it set up right for me? That's what I love about this technology now, whether it's Callaway, TaylorMade. A lot of them have these adjustable drivers. Nike's got a great one. That really makes a difference, so I can set it up to be able to make my swing, get the ball in play more often. And that's the idea behind having a driver that gets you down the fairway and in play. I then gapped to a 3-wood. I've had a lot of 3-woods in my life. To be honest with you, this may be the first club that I actually paid money for. I kidded the rep when they came in last week. I hit this as a demo. It's a Tour Exotics, and this is a 3-wood that I've now had in my bag for a few months. And after the first 3 swings with it, I couldn't imagine I could ever have a 3-wood as my go-to club, but this is my go-to club, and it's been in my bag ever since. Love the club. A lot of tour players are using this club, and they're not even being paid to use it. I bought it, and so I really like it. So I can gap between my driver to my 3-wood, which I hit about 230, right in that range, to a hybrid. A lot of even tour pros now are going to hybrid clubs. It used to be we carried a 1-iron, a 2-iron, a 3-iron, a 4-iron. Right now I carry a 4-iron through a pitching wedge in the set, and then have 3 additional wedges with that. My hybrid is the gap that I have in distance between my 4-iron and my 3-wood. And I use a Razor X Tour hybrid, great golf club. Love it. It's a go-to club. It's a 3-iron that you can make a swing with out of a tight lie. You can make a swing with it out of a heavy rough. The ball can get high and land softly, and that's a lot different than most guys can do with their 3-irons. So I really recommend that you look at carrying a hybrid just for that one reason. I know a lot of people that have gone to taking their clubs down to even a 5-iron or a 6-iron and put all the hybrids. It's just so much easier to hit, particularly out of a questionable lie. My irons, no surprise, are Callaway, and I'm right now using the Razor Tour X, brand new this year. I use a Project X shaft, a 6.0 shaft. I'm in love with these irons. If you have an opportunity to go to a demo day and hit these irons, they're a forged head that they've micro welded a cavity back on. It keeps the top line pretty narrow from the top, so it has the look of a nice forged iron, not a muscle back. I think I'm too old for muscle backs anymore. So I'm allowed to hit the ball a little off center and still get 90–95% of my distance with it. I love it because of the feel. And I went with Callaway, not because I hit them that much further or for any other reason other than I love how these golf clubs feel. So I carry a 4-iron through pitching wedge. And then this year I'm trying new. This is brand new from Callaway. It's a V-forged copper wedge. And I'm probably going to go with a 52, which gaps between my pitching wedge at 48. So I have a 48-degree pitching wedge, a 52 gap wedge, a 56-degree sand wedge, and a 60-degree lob wedge. Now, I told Chase, and I still got to figure this out, I've been playing with these X Series, the Jaws Callaway wedges for a couple of years. I have taken cover off a ball. They're not conforming grooves, but it's a club that I can hit, take 2 bounces, and I know that on a decent golf ball with a decent green, they stop immediately. These new Callaway X Forged are conforming groove clubs, and for me, it's I can't stop it as quickly as I can with the Jaws club. So I'm really seriously considering leaving the 60-degree in my bag with the Jaws and then playing the 52 and 50. A little less spin for me means that I can keep the ball in the air a little bit longer, and I should be able to hit my 52 and my 56 a little bit longer. If you want to know distances for me, I hit my pitching wedge about 125 yards, which means that I hit my gap wedge about 115. I hit my 56 degree just under 100, and my lob wedge, I don't really hit much more than 30 or 45 yards out from the green. I don't ever try to hit a full lob wedge. It has a lot of bounce on these lob wedges, and I think that those are real important to notice. So I like playing a 56 degree, a little bit back of my stance, flighting the ball down, and hopefully get a couple check and just get, I'm very much a feel player to get the feel of the ball, hitting where I want to hit and release to the hole. That's what I play. That's why I play it. But why, like I say, is so important of what's in the bag is because I know that if I'm anywhere within those 5-yard tolerances, I know what club to hit and I have confidence that I can hit it. The other thing I think is important to do when we're out here looking is getting the right yardages. I carry a laser finder. It's illegal to have one with slope, so I don't use the one with slope. I use a Bushnell laser finder. But what I try to do is, even with the Sky Caddies or things like that, I like to have those also, because I like to know 3 things when I'm hitting an iron into a green or a wedge. I want to know what the front distance is, I want to know what the middle distance is to the green, and I want to know what the back distance is to the green. If I can hit a 7-iron into a green and know that I can't get it to the back of the green, then I feel pretty comfortable hitting 7-iron to the middle of the green. But if I have a distance that my 7-iron exceeds that distance to the back of the green, then I know that I need to go to an 8, maybe even a 9-iron into the green, depending what's in front of the green. The tour players, they don't make too many mistakes short. I'm not saying they never do, because they do. But a tour player, when he has water in front, it doesn't scare him at all, because they're so accurate with their distances and they know how far each club goes. As a matter of fact, I heard Johnny Miller say at the height of his career, he knew in his swing where a half a yard was. A half a yard, 1.5 feet in a swing, so he could hit a golf ball to his exact number consistently, time after time after time after time. You do those things and your score is lower. They'll lower automatically because you're able to hit the ball to the distance that you need. And sometimes with putting or chipping or hitting irons is distance becomes more important than accuracy. So the tour players have more problems with water features that are on the left or right of the pin. And we definitely saw it last weekend with this last tournament at Doral, because there were over 51 balls in the water to the left side of the 18th hole. That's a tour player. These guys were hitting the ball the right distance but the wind got it. They meant to cut it, and it hooked, double crossed, whatever. 51 of these guys found the water hazard, and if you watch that tournament, some of them hit it in off the tee and then hit it in again from their second shot, and double bogey was a score you saw quite a lot on that 18th hole. So that's what I have in the bag. That's why I have it in the bag. And ask yourself, is why much more important than what? If you have any questions, send us an email, drop us a line. If there's something you want to look at in your golf swing or your golf game that you'd like to get an opinion on, let us know. Chase and I'll be happy to tape that feature for you. Thanks for listening, and let's find out who won our hat. Every month we'll find something really cool to give you away. I'm gonna try to get Callaway to give me some better products, and we'll share that Callaway warm, fuzzy feeling everywhere we go. Have a great day.
Oh, and stay here. Watch Grandpa hit a ball. Grandpa! Grandpa! Grandpa!